Hello, welcome to the Rough Characters podcast. I am Philip Overby.
And I'm John Palladino.
And today we're here to talk about the most buzzworthy game of the year so far, it seems, in a year that just constantly keeps throwing games at us and beating us over the head with games. Seems everyone is almost unanimous in saying Baldur's Gate 3 is a shoe-in for game of the year, and it's not even September yet. I don't. Well, there's a few more big games coming out this year that still might be in contendership. Starfield and
Starfield. Did the Zelda? Yeah, the Zelda game came out.
a few other things. So we'll see what happens. But today we're going to talk about a few different things. First, we're going to talk about the controversy related to developers coming out and saying, hey, gamers, you need to temper your expectations because we're not going to make games like this. And there is some agreement with that, and there was some backlash to that as well. And then we're also going to talk about some stats that Larian Studios put out about Baldur's Gate. And then we're going to, at the end, John is going to tell us about his experience with the game as a PC gamer. And as a person with a very shitty PC, I cannot play it yet. So I'm waiting for PlayStation 5 release. So I'm going to maybe ask some questions and kind of talk about my expectations for the game as well. So first, let's discuss the controversy that Baldur's Gate 3 is an anomaly and that gamers should not expect this quality. It's kind of a strange comment, but I don't know. What do you think about this?
So I agree with the very first part. Baldur's Gate 3 is an anomaly. This is true. Everything else that I've read has been absolute horseshit. I guess the argument is that this game is so good, and we're not going to do that. So don't expect it from anyone else. Which is a hilarious thing to say, because Larian Studios, when you compare to any of the other major studios, it's a pretty small studio. I don't actually know the numbers off the top of my head, but let's see the number of employees. It looks like it is 450, which is large, but not like massive, especially for a game like this.
I think it would be like a double A studio, maybe not a triple A.
Yeah, I don't know how you distinguish between the two, but Activision. Let's see what the number of employees are at Activision Blizzard. 17,000. Now, obviously, that is now just Blizzard has 4,700. It looks like. Infinity Ward has 444. They make Call of Duty. But I'm pretty sure it was Activision Blizzard that was a strong opponent to the whole, like, we can't, or I guess they were a strong advocate for the argument where they can't make games this good, or at least some developers. I'm pretty sure it was Activision Blizzard. I could be wrong, but even so, whether or not they made the argument is kind of irrelevant in my head, because there's no reason that a company like Larian Studios, who only has 450 total employees, can go up against Activision Blizzard, which has 17,000 employees, and make a way better game. It's like maddening. Diablo 4, I know a lot of people really like it. I hated it. You can say, did you really hate it if you played it and beat it? And I would say yes, because I was hoping the end game would be good. It was not.
Well, to go back to that a bit, I didn't realize how many people hate Diablo 4. I was online the other day and I was reading something and it was like, yeah, Diablo 4 is trash and blah 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 blah. I was like, man, a lot of people hate this game. I mean, I guess I've never been like a hardcore Diablo person. Like I like the series.
Yeah.
So I just play it for fun. I don't really think that deeply about it, but I do
It
remember
was
when
their season update that got all the backlash, I think. But I
uh
don't play seasons in Diablo, so I didn't care.
well, I'm assuming also a lot of these studios are aggravated about the idea of a different model, I guess. The way
A
they're
pro
looking,
consumer model? We don't like that here.
well, the way they're looking at it is that Larian Studios has been Baldur's Gate working on Baldur's Gate 3 for a really long time. And I guess that's what they're saying. Just to be devil's advocate, I guess what they're saying is with like deadlines and they have to make a certain number of releases each year.
Let me
Larian
check something.
Larian Studios had a lot of time to make this masterpiece game, whereas most developers don't have that luxury to just like work on that one game for like a really long time. So maybe that's how they're looking at it. I may be misinterpreting, um, but yeah, I think having a pro consumer approach is going to make them less money. And at the end of the day, they're businesses, so I guess they want to make most money. And I don't know, Baldur's Gate 3, does it have DLC and like shit you can buy,
No,
microtransaction
there's
stuff?
zero in-game purchases at the moment. Uh I with the success of the game, I wouldn't be surprised if they did like, some sort of expansion or something. But as far as I know, there's zero plans to add any other purchases unless they like did an expansion. Now I just want to bring up while you were talking, I was searching. You probably heard my keyboard. My apologies. I didn't mute my mic. But did some searching. Baldur's Gate 3 took 6 years to develop. This is a bad example because of the fact that this game has been kind of in development hell. But Dragon Age 4 has been in development since 2015, which is actually longer. So technically, it should be at least as good, right? Now, like I said, it's been in development hell, and I believe they've rebooted the game 2 or 3 times because originally it was supposed to be, as far as I'm aware, this is all rumors, but I believe it was supposed to be like have multiplayer in it because originally there was a moment in time when who owns them? EA, I think, right? EA owns BioWare.
Yeah.
Where EA had like implemented a policy where every single player game had to have some sort of multiplayer component that they could monetize, and that's what happened with like Mass Effect 3. I forget, there's some other examples I knew, but anyway, so the idea was to have a huge multiplayer section of Dragon Age, and I don't know how many years into development it was, but they ended up scrapping that like policy. And so then they wanted to make it a single player game again. And so they rebooted the game basically. And I'm really worried about that game, which is sad because BioWare was always one of my favorite companies and I love their games, but lately it's not been so great for them. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying here though is that the argument that they can't do long development games is crazy because that's one game that's been in development longer than Baldur's Gate. Now, again, development hell, but they're allowing it to go that long, right? So they haven't canceled it. It's going to come out next year, I think, is the plan. But they just spent all that time developing. They could easily spend that time on a game if they wanted to and make a really good Baldur's Gate, right? especially when you're talking about the big companies. They have releases happening all the time. You're saying that you couldn't have one studio work on like an amazing game for a while. I think that's crazy. I think it's lies, honestly. I think they just want to pump out half-baked games, and then if something doesn't stick, they get their money from it as much as they can, throw it off to the side. If something does really well, they either don't finish it because they don't know what they're doing, like with Overwatch 2, or they, capitalize on it and do really well with it. But the whole end game for most companies is to make as much money as possible for shareholders, which is something I know but like it's been happening for years now, and people are getting sick of it. And with the increase in public, I was going to say rage, that might be the wrong word, the outcry, perhaps, the rebellious nature of people. People are kind of over it, and it seems like every game that comes out that kind of continues to follow that trend is just getting like more and more blasted, even by like big companies. IGN is famously very pro like companies, it seems, but even they made a video about the whole Baldur's Gate 3 backlash, and they were in support of like, what are you talking about? You can't make games like this. Yes, you can. Like, this is crazy.
I saw that. Yeah, I think there's a lot of like, to look at it from an indie perspective, Chained Echoes was one of the best RPGs I've played in years, and it was made by one guy. One guy made the game. It's not so much, I think it's not so much like gamers want Baldur's Gate every time. We just want high quality games that you can tell someone put a lot of work into, whether it's a big team or a small team. There's a lot of indie RPG games I like that I would play over a big budget game just because I like the play style or whatever. So I think maybe the developers are thinking along the lines of scope. We can't make a game Baldur's Gate scope, but you can make a game equally as good without the scope, I think. So I don't think developers should think we need to make the next Baldur's Gate to compete with them. They just need to figure out how to make games that players want to play without nickel and diming them for all this stupid shit. Every time I log into Diablo 4, it's like, hey, you want to buy this horse or something?
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
constant in that game.
I don't want to buy a horse. And that's something I said about Final Fantasy 16 too. Like when I boot the game, it goes right to the title menu, continue, go right to the game. There's nothing else. That's it.
What's crazy about that game, I just saw it's another example of corporations being stupid. Final Fantasy 16 has sold more than 3 million units worldwide, and I believe it's only available on PlayStation 5. Is that correct?
Yeah, right now.
And it did not meet Square Enix's expectations.
Well, they're notoriously bad about
I know.
I don't know what they're expecting. You're releasing a game.
I thought that was really good.
Yeah, it is. It is.
You want more sales?
Yeah, it is good. Comparatively to like Final Fantasy 15, which was one of their biggest selling games.
Yeah, that was a stupid one, right?
And it was on multiple platforms. It was on, as far as I know, it was on PC and PlayStation.
It sold 10 million units, but it's on all platforms.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think you could consider Final Fantasy 16 a success by most standards. But yeah, Square Enix has these ridiculously high standards for how much they're trying to sell. Like, just
Yes.
be happy the game was critically received well. So the next game you make might do well also.
I
But
was trying to look up the PlayStation sales for 15, but they don't really like to seem to post it separately, like from other consoles, which is too bad because it would have been nice to compare.
yeah. All right. So, oh, I can't minimize my screen. Hold on a second. I want to look at
Oh, the stats?
the stats.
Well, if you can't see them, I have them pulled up so I could read them and we could talk about them as we go if you want.
Oh, never mind. I can open this thing.
You got it?
All right. Yeah. So,
Okay.
um, so in summary, both me and John are obviously in agreement that game studios don't need to say we can't do that. Try.
It's
that's
ridiculous.
that's all we want you to try.
Especially, it's even more ridiculous when it's highlighted by all the failings in the gaming industry lately. It's like, yeah, okay, maybe we're not expecting you to do Baldur's Gate 3 with every game. But dear God, what have you been doing with all these games? I think a similar sentiment happened when Elden Ring came out.
Yeah.
Where companies were like not too happy about that, if I
They're like,
remember.
yeah, they were like, we can't do that. And then gamers were like,
Yeah,
this game is a masterpiece, and everybody's like,
I never played it, but yes, that is the common census. And the same with you can hate Nintendo all you want, but they are pretty well known for putting out a lot of good quality games. I cannot stand the Zelda series, but the last two entries now, the open world ones, those ones have been like insanely well received. So there's no reason that other companies can't make like good RPGs.
all right, let's move on to some opening weekend Baldur's Gate 3 numbers that Larian Studios posted on social media. Some of these stats are interesting. So it said 368 players finished the game in the opening weekend, which we were talking
Bonkers.
we were talking about before we started. We don't know how
I
this is
genuinely don't
possible.
understand how that's possible. If you like, my mind is blown as someone who's played a decent amount of this game. I mean, a weekend. I don't know technically what they count as the weekend when they do these stats, but I'm guessing it's just all of Saturday and Sunday. I don't think they include like Friday evening and night. I don't think they include anything other than Saturday and Sunday, right? So that's at the most, assuming you get no sleep, you have 48 hours, right?
Yeah.
So I haven't even beaten Act 1 in the game, and I'm at 30 hours.
I don't know.
So I guess if you didn't do, so I just
Anything.
don't understand how you would play Baldur's Gate 3 and not explore everywhere and like talk to every person you find, and like you would have to rush through. Now, to be fair, my time is probably inflated because when I play an RPG that I'm like really super into and it's my first playthrough, I don't like skip the talking. So I could read a lot faster, and I have the subtitles on. Um, but I kind of like to immerse myself and just let the characters talk. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of probably bloating my playtime a lot because there's a lot of talking. And if you don't like fast forward through it, then sure, that takes a while. So that's probably not helping me there. But
Mm.
even if I'm like, even if you're skipping all that, there's so much to do. I I just don't see how you would beat it in one weekend. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, you have to eat and take a shower.
Nah, people are not showering when they're playing this game. Come on, Phil. The 368 people that played this and beat it, they
Didn't
didn't
take a shower.
shower. No.
They didn't use the toilet. They
Have you
just,
seen South Park?
yeah, yeah, it's like that. There's taking a dump in a bucket or something.
Yes. The World of
Uh,
Warcraft episode. Yeah, exactly.
all right, let's look other stats. Interesting ones. Yeah, nearly 10% of characters spent, oh, I think that's supposed to say players. Nearly 10% of players spent at least an hour in character creation. So yeah, I
I
was
mean,
talking about that a bit. I want to see, like, when I play the game, how long it takes me to make a character. I don't think it'll be an hour, but
so I didn't time myself,
yeah,
but I played like I'm at my computer right here,
yeah,
and then there's another computer like right next to me right now. So my brother was right there, and we were making our characters at the same time.
mm,
And I want to say that because we started originally playing a two-player game, which we ended up going our separate ways and playing two single-player games. But the first time we created a character, I want to say it took us a good hour to do, because it's very much like creating a normal character in like a D&D game. You go through and you have to now it speeds it up. It does all the fun number stuff for you, so you don't have to do any of that. But you have to do things like choose what your character looks like, and that
yeah,
can take a while, especially when you're also thinking, well, what race do I want to be and what class do I want to be? And by the time you make all these decisions and you pick how you look and then you pick your abilities and your spells, um, it can take a while. If you're going to play like a fighter, I think that it would be a lot
faster.
faster. You don't really have choices to make with some of the classes, but if you're playing like uh well, like I was playing a paladin and my brother played a sorcerer on our first playthroughs. So his took a while to make his character spells, and mine probably didn't take as long, but I took longer with it because I wanted to make like the perfect half orc.
Perfect half over.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I would say if you're doing a spellcaster, it would probably take much longer. And I'm not 100% sure, but I think um, a lot of the classes have these subclasses that you have to pick also. So that also ties into, you know,
Yeah, but I think with the exception of one class, I believe you pick all your subclasses at level 2 or 3, right?
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it follows fifth edition rules. I'm pretty sure there's the wizard that you pick. No, I think that's level 2 for the wizard. I don't remember, um, but yeah, whatever. This
Uh,
you skipped over this stat, which is fine because we don't really have to talk about it. It's just I have a question for you. This says
oh,
over 93% of players rolled a custom character. When you play, are you going to be part of the 93%?
yeah, of course. I mean, I don't see the, just for me, if I have an option to make my own character, I don't see the point of playing a pre-made character.
Me neither. Yes.
I've
Okay,
never understood
so
that.
there's one reason why I could see it, and I don't know what it's like to play one of the created characters because I haven't started a game with one of them. I'm like you. I'll always create my own character. I don't know if this is the case, but with created characters, at least they're non-voiced, Um,
That's it. Yeah.
so when you click like an answer of dialogue, you don't speak it.
Mm.
I think if that's the same for like any of the people you could choose as well, except for their story dialogue that they have. I don't really know though, but
Well,
that could be a reason why I could see why some people wouldn't want to create a character because they don't have a voice. And like even if you're a silent protagonist as one of the companions, at least like you have a voice with a lot of conversations. I think I don't actually know how it works when you're playing one of them, but uh so I guess in that regard it could make you feel like you're playing like more of a character maybe than the character creation one does because of your silent. Um, Even though you still select your voice, which is kind of funny because they still talk like when you're like running around or in battle or something, but like
yeah.
it's very infrequent.
Well, like in Divinity Original Sin 2, they had a
Let's hear it
similar
again.
system where you could pick the origin characters and then
Yeah,
you would get those characters, you would meet those characters in the game and they could join your party. Or you
right.
could actually pick that character. And I think one of the advantages of picking that character was that they had unique tags or something. So when you interacted with people,
Yeah.
you would have unique for only that character. So maybe it's the same thing with Baldur's Gate. If you pick one of the pre-generated characters, they have like set things they can do differently than
So
the custom character. I don't know.
yeah, I can confirm that they still have the tag system, although it's I think in Divinity you could customize it, like you could pick some tags.
Yeah.
Um, in this game, you don't ever really see the tags, so there's no like customization for that. But
Hmm.
the tag option does exist because I'll get like options in dialogue that'll
Hmm.
tell you like the tag basically, right? Like so if you play a race, you'll have a racial one or a class one. Um, or I don't know how I got this. I'm just assuming that every class gets this or every character. Maybe it's just character creation and the other people have their own. But like Baldurian, so I'm from Baldur's Gate.
No.
Um, yeah, I could be incorrect, and there might be a way that you can actually change and edit those, but I never saw one, and I've gone through character creation several times. But it's not unheard of for me to miss something like that. I guess. I
Well,
don't think you customize them though, but they do make use of those. So I'm assuming that the other characters would make use of that.
so I know we're probably going to talk about this later, but I was watching. I'll just go ahead and talk about it now. I was
Okay.
watching I was watching some video about like character creation stuff, and as far as race, um, so looking at the stats here, the number one race is half elf. It looks like was
Which is
chosen.
ridiculous to me. Why? Why is
Um,
half elf so popular?
I was I was thinking I was going to choose Drow, and the reason is because when I was watching the Larian Studios guys talk about the races and stuff, it seemed like if you choose Drow, people may react to you differently because you're kind of like an outsider type race as far
Yep,
as like in the world.
that's
So
probably true.
I want to see how that will work. And then as far as class, originally I was thinking paladin actually. I wonder what a drow paladin would be like. Um, but I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to choose yet. Usually anytime I play a game, I usually choose like a martial class starting out because I feel like those are easier to pick up. And then if I play it a second time through, I'll pick a magic user or whatever.
Fair, but you know how this game works because you played Dungeons and Dragons and
Yeah.
you've played Divinity, so you should be fine. Um, I will say that in terms of class, I'm a tiefling bard
Mm.
and definitely kind of gotten a lot of that outsider stuff too.
Oh, the tiefling people react to you because you're a tiefling.
Yeah, but then other people are not like not a lot, but there's been some people who are not fond of tieflings.
No.
In terms of class choices, I think Paladin is a really solid choice. Because it is.
Yeah.
Well, like the companions, at least the ones that I have so far, none of them are a paladin. So it's like, why pick a class that you know you're gonna have on your team, right?
Well, according to this, the stats, Paladin was number one, Sorcerer's next, and Wizard is after that, and then Rogue.
Warlock.
Oh, Warlock, sorry. Rogue, Bard, Barbarian, Fighter. I can't read that.
Ranger,
Ranger,
then Wizard, Monk,
with
Druid, and Cleric.
yeah. So that's interesting to me because all the all the healing buff type classes are all at the bottom, and all the like high offense classes are at the top. So obviously, people prefer playing more offensive type characters. I would guess.
I will say that in the early access, and I almost played this character again. Second lowest class was that's picked as Druid.
Yeah.
Druid is so much fun in this game. I loved playing the Druid during early access. In this game, I went with a Bard, and then I probably shouldn't have done this. I kind of regret it, but I really wanted to. When I played that multiplayer game with my brother, I made a half orc paladin, and I was like, I got so attached to him. He looked so cool. I just liked everything about him. But I was like, I want to play a bard as my main character because I just if you don't have some of the skills on your main character that you kind of want, like lock picking for one, then you feel like you feel locked into some of the companions. Like, oh well, I can't journey without the rogue because I need the lockpick stuff, right?
Yeah.
Now there are alternative answers to that. You could theoretically pick up chests that are locked and carry them back, and then unlock them later, I guess.
Yeah.
But I just like I didn't like that when I was playing the multiplayer game with my brother. I was a paladin, he was a sorcerer, and we had to have the rogue with us, right? Like it was non-negotiable. So when I made my single player game, I went with Bard because I got access to so many different skills, and that way I could do all the stuff I wanted to, lockpick, persuasion, all the good stuff.
Well,
And
a,
so
a bard is kind of a jack of all trades kind of class, I guess.
right, and I
Yeah.
wanted access to like a lot of skills, so that's why I picked Bard. But I was so attached to my half orc paladin that I kind of cheated. Instead of making a single player game, I made a multiplayer game. I had my brother come in. I made both my characters on each computer, and then he just left the game, and I had my companion. But the one of the problems with Baldur's Gate 3 is that if you at any time in your journey have somebody join your game in a multiplayer mode and make their character is locked in your party permanently. You can't switch them out. So while I love having the paladin, it's awesome. It is kind of annoying sometimes because I can't get rid of him. Like I can't trade him out for someone else. I have two non-voiced people, two people who aren't like getting quests, I guess, for like companion quests. So now I'm like cycling through two people at a time. It's a little annoying in that regard. But it's still really fun. It's like probably the only negative I have to say about Baldur's Gate 3 is the multiplayer companion system. And there's a lot of backlash about that online. So I wonder if they're gonna patch it so that you can like take them out of your party. And then the other issue I have with the game that we talked about already is like a non-voiced protagonist. I personally, for me, that's just a pet peeve. I prefer a little person to speak when I select the dialogue, but that's just me.
I heard this. I don't know if it's true. Like like if I had like me and three other friends, could we actually make a party and play together, like as a group?
Yeah, but you would never be able to bring
We
any of your
we we
companions out.
we would be stuck with that group.
You would be stuck with that group. You would not be able to use any of the companions, which I guess I don't know mechanically how it works in the game if you even like recruit the companions. I'm assuming you do. They just stay at camp all the time. I don't know. I, I will say that it seems like you can progress all of the companion quests without having them with you. So I don't think you lose anything in terms of like experience or quests. Uh, because I've had instances where like I said, I only have two people, so I'm roaming around and something happens, and my journal will update and be like, this companion wants to talk to you about what just happened or whatever, and you're like, oh, okay, cool, and then you can talk to them about the stuff that just happened and progress their quest. Does that actually work throughout the whole game? I don't know. If there's ever a place where you need to bring somebody, obviously in a 4-player game, you wouldn't be able to. So I don't really know how that would work. Well, I bet a 4-player game of that could be really fun, but also really annoying. Um, have you played any of the Larian Studio games multiplayer with anyone before?
Yeah, I played Divinity 1 maybe with a friend a little bit, and it worked pretty well.
Okay, so I played Divinity 1 and 2 with my brother. And I also played Baldur's Gate 3 with my brother for a few hours. But Larian Studios games function in a way that like I can't handle, because as a person who plays games, I'm a completionist. I like to see as much as like I don't find everything. I'm not like that good at games, but
Yeah.
I like to do every single quest I get. Every single person I see, I like to talk to. I like to pay attention to the dialogue. I like to really get immersed and like make choices and do what I want to do. My brother is not so much that way. But when you play multiplayer, it's a pain in the ass because if I'm talking to someone and he's over there at a shop selling stuff, uh, and then he's like, oh, you're in the conversation. So then he can eavesdrop, but it's not automatic. So he just missed, the first part of the conversation. And he is getting annoyed by that. And he is someone that doesn't necessarily care as much as I do. If
Mm.
I miss anything, if I miss a single line of dialogue because I fuck something up, I hit spacebar on accident, skip it, I will reload my game an hour before. I'm not even kidding. I've done this in Baldur's Gate already, where I accidentally skipped something. I reloaded, and my last save was like an hour away. I reloaded and replayed an hour of gameplay because I missed a damn line of dialogue. I'm that like
Was it
crazy
worth
about this shit.
was it
No,
worth
it
it?
wasn't worth it at all. Of course, it wasn't worth it. It was a throwaway line that didn't matter, and I knew it probably was, but I still couldn't I just couldn't handle that. It was like this OCD. I was like, oh my god, what if it was important? What if it was something I want to know? So I reloaded. I did the whole thing. Oh, I really didn't need to know that, but I know I wouldn't have been able to handle myself if I didn't reload.
Yeah.
So when you're playing with another person, it's maddening because they accidentally talk to somebody and you miss half of it. And you're like,
Mm.
fuck, what did I miss? I hate it.
Well, I think if I played with a group, I would obviously no, well, maybe not obviously, but I would have my own game, and then I'd have separate
You would
games.
have to.
Yeah. So I would play my own single player game, and then if I had a group to play with, I would play with the group. Um. So yeah, it just depends. If you can get people. But I mean, enough people are playing this game, so Should be easy. Are there any other interesting stats? All right, what is this about? One NPC was shoved into a chasm for every concurrent player we had during our peak on Sunday.
So it looks like they had 815,000 people, and apparently 815,000 people were shoved to their deaths. I have not done that once, by the way. I've seen it happen from NPCs doing it to NPCs, but I have not actually done it.
So you can actually kick people off cliffs and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's like regular actions, like you can dash, you can jump, and you can shove. And so someone's standing at like the edge of a cliff, you can like run up and like shove them, and they go flying. Actually, I just did this battle where no, don't worry about spoilers. I'm not gonna spoil anything. But you're on this like raised area, and then below you there's like lava, and there's two factions in this battle. There's like the good side and the bad side, I guess. Maybe they're not good and bad. It's kind of more like bad and bad, and then pick like in my second story anyway. I picked between them. It's easily could just be one big battle against you, I suppose. But anyway, I joined the battle, and these people are running against each other, just shoving people in the lava, incinerating everyone. It was crazy. One of my allies got shoved in the lava and died. It was great.
Nice.
So yeah, it's pretty wild that you can do that.
Is it like Divinity? I guess both Divinity games, where like if you, for example, if you spill oil on the ground and you cast fire, it does that kind of like elemental stuff you can do.
So one of my brother's biggest complaints about this game is that it doesn't have enough of that. He likes the Divinity games with the elemental stuff. Yes, all of that still happens in this game. If there's fire, you can use like create water to put it out. There is oil that you can like that gets lit on fire and explodes. There's some of that green poison gas that you can remember from Infinity, basically.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the elemental interactions are a lot more limited compared to like Divinity, which personally I actually like. I found that stuff to be really annoying in Divinity. But that's just me. I like that always irritated me. There's some in this game. Mostly it's more like terrain effects, I feel like, walk slower or fire on the ground. That's kind of like the big one. If you do something with fire, sometimes it leaves fire behind. But it's not like nearly the same as actually I just got some boosts in the game, I think, the magical boosts, and they say like their effect is that you can't be electrified while standing in water, which I found very funny because I've yet to see water be electrified. I played 30 hours. So like that's what I mean by like status effects are so like limited compared to Divinity. So some people might not like that. I prefer it, but
are there any other interesting statistics on this thing you want to talk about?
I do have one. It says in terms of diplomacy, players veer on the side of good. It's 65 to 35%. When you play a game, what do you normally do?
Well, I think we talked about this maybe before, but usually the first time I play through a game, I like to play a good character.
Yeah, me too.
And the second time I'll experiment more. Just because usually if you do the good path,
generally a more fulfilling experience.
Yeah.
Like in terms of story and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, if you do evil, can be cool. I like the idea, and this is something I might do just to do it. I like the idea in this game, if you have a paladin, and this might be why people chose paladin. you can actually become an Oathbreaker Paladin, which I think is cool. Like if you don't follow your oath, you become an Oathbreaker Paladin, then you get these new cool abilities. So maybe people are interested in that.
That would be really cool to try for sure.
But I like playing evil characters in games sometimes, but the only time I've really enjoyed it a lot was probably in Mass Effect. In Mass
And even then, it
Effect,
was after I played as a good person.
yeah. In Mass Effect, like, you have, some of the choices you make, you're just like, man, that was brutal. Just like throw a guy out the window, or like beat the shit out of somebody, or like kill an entire race of creatures or whatever.
Yeah, but the nice thing about Mass Effect is that if you played bad, it didn't like ruin the story. I feel like a lot of games, if you're bad, you just don't see as much or get as much. I don't know how to explain it. I guess when I was younger, one option was like if you play evil, you not recruit a lot of characters that you could if you were good,
Yeah.
or you lock yourself out of a lot of like places or story. I don't know. And that always irritated me. There was one game I played. I don't remember what game it was, so don't ask. One game I played where I played evil, and I just could see the experience was so limited. Every time I did anything, I was like, ugh. I restarted and played on good, and it was just like, oh, this is the story I'm meant to like. This is what I. And ever since then, I've always just played the good storyline because like that was like the first time through because I'm always so paranoid that like, oh my god, if I'm bad, I'm gonna like miss out on so much stuff.
Yeah.
And
So,
then there's one more stat that I
okay.
just want to mention, and that's that players have played for at least 1,225 years already.
Yeah, that's
What? And that was
everyone together, I
just
guess.
the opening weekend. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. People are really into it. So, and it's kind of interesting. I don't know if anyone's thought about this at all or talked about this at all, but there was all this kind of backlash against D&D recently for various reasons. But there hasn't been any backlash against Baldur's Gate, which is a D&D D&D property also.
What do you mean in terms of backlash?
Well, I mean, just the D&D name has been kind of dragged through the mud a bit recently with there was the creative license stuff, and then recently there was an AI controversy where somebody had used AI and some art.
Oh, okay.
But I haven't seen that kind of stuff affect people buying Baldur's Gate, because sometimes people are like, I'm not going to buy D&D stuff anymore, blah 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 blah,
Right.
which is fine, but that it didn't have any knock-on effect to Baldur's Gate at all. It's just like people are like, yeah, okay, Baldur's Gate. So it didn't
Might be
affect
because
anything.
the studio has such a positive reputation. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, I think Larian Studios has a pretty good reputation with their audience. So
It also helps they had 3 years of early access, so it was like kind of proven to be a really good game already, right? Like,
yeah,
I mean, did you play early access?
no, I have a
Oh, okay, it's like
shitty PC.
wildly different, which is great because I played a stupid amount of early access. I was like, okay, I got to stop because I don't want to ruin the game. But they
Hmm.
changed so much. Like, oh, I could have played more. It wouldn't have mattered. This is great.
Well, I mean, maybe more studios will start doing that, more early access stuff. I know a lot of Steam releases, they do early access, or they do like even some indie games they do where it's called in development or something. So like the game is still in
Yeah.
development, so you can play it in its unfinished state.
To be
And then
fair, early access usually really sucks.
Yeah, in general, I like the idea of it because then players can, give feedback and stuff like that. But somebody the other day I mean, I know or you specifically shit on Diablo 4 a lot, but
I can't help it.
something that came up was some guy had said in the comments of some posts that um I don't want to play test your game for you, which
And that's
basic
fair.
which basically is a kind of a knock on Diablo 3 also, because same kind of problems with Diablo 3. A lot of people complained about stuff and then they fixed it and it was a lot better. So some people are
Right.
saying, I'm just going to wait till Diablo 4 is fixed and then I'll play it, because seems like they'll address these issues. I think they'll fix a lot of the issues that people have with it, and then people will like the game again. But um yeah, I don't have a problem with the game myself, but I know a lot of people do. But as far as um this style of game, I don't want everybody to do this style of game. Uh
Yeah. No, that'd be stupid.
you know, I want RPG developers to try new and exciting or different concepts. I don't want to just play the same style of game every time. Like, sure, Baldur's Gate 3 looks incredible and sounds awesome, but I don't need 10 Baldur's Gate 3 games clones. I want RPGs that give me a new experience. So,
Right. And we've seen this before when a game does super well. Call of Duty is probably a really good example. And then you see like all the other first person shooters try and copy, you know, exactly what was happening with the successful games. Same with I don't know if you know what a battle royale is, but
yeah.
like Apex Legends, a lot of the games that were battle royales were just obvious, let's just try and capitalize on this trend. And whenever that happens, the quality of games drastically declines. So yeah, I don't want people to be like, wow, Baldur's Gate was really successful. Let's just do that.
Yeah.
But I also do think that Baldur's Gate is one of those games where people like could learn a lot.
Well, sometimes games, they're just like a cultural phenomenon for a period, like Elden Ring was for a while.
Right.
Even like silly party game type stuff like Among Us was super popular for a while, and Fall
Fall
Guys.
Guys. Yeah.
Yeah. So, certain games, they capture everyone's attention for because it's so, like, Fall Guys was a pretty simple concept, right? But
Yes.
everybody
It's still
every
going strong.
and everybody really got into it because it was fun. So really, that's all people are looking for, is just, when they play games, they want to have fun. They don't want to, want to escape from reality for a little while. um so as long as developers keep trying to do that, then they don't need to worry about uh being a masterpiece every time, but they need to think about that. Like, think about what your player expectations are and try to meet them the best you can, I would say. I mean,
Yeah.
nobody expects you to put a game in development 10 years and, not make any money. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously companies have to make money to develop games, but
Definitely. Yeah.
yeah, so I don't know for sure, but maybe I'm going to go drow Drow Paladin might be cool.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna
Paladin is pretty fun. I will admit, I'm having a lot of fun with Paladin.
um
Uh,
just to like mess around with character creation recently. I've been going to the Pathfinder game I have and Divinity Original Sin 2, and then I've been just making characters just for fun. And it was funny, one comment I saw, somebody was like, I wish there was just a character creation game where you just make a
oh, I saw that.
all you do is
Funny.
just make characters. That'd be good enough for me.
Yeah,
Um,
not for me. I don't like to. I like doing it, but that's like not something I would. I'd want to then play the game.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, but anyway, I guess that's good on the stats. Did you have? You said I think you said you had questions about the game, right? Or
Well,
some questions.
I kind of asked a few of them um, as we were talking about the stats. Um, but I guess the only thing, other thing I wanted to know was I like, um, this was an option in Divinity too. Um, I like having my own party that I make my whole party.
Oh,
Um,
like custom characters.
yeah, like my whole party is custom characters. Is that possible to do? Like if I just want to, you can't do that. Oh.
Okay, so you make your one character,
Yeah.
and then right, my hair come up. I'm like a cat now, I guess.
Mm.
Uh, so you make your character, and then you can recruit the characters that are around. And this is a incredibly minor spoiler for anybody who cares. Not a story spoiler. It's not really not a big deal. Um, but you have a camp that you like where your companions stay, and then you can kind of like recruit people, other people as you go, and they kind of hang out in your camp too. And in the first like dungeon of the area, I guess it might not be the first one depending on where you go and how you play, but the first one that I went to and the first one that most people are going to go to, there's this character that you can recruit, and they start out being someone who you can pay to resurrect your dead companions.
Mm.
But a little bit later in the game, you then unlock this feature for them where they can you can pay them to get a hireling.
No.
And the hirelings, as far as I'm aware, I haven't tried the service out because I read about it online a little bit and I was like, oh, that's not what I want to do. But as far as I'm aware, the hirelings are 12 preset characters. They are already named and they already have their like they already look how they look, and you can't change their name and you can't change how they look.
No.
I think they come with a default class, but I believe you can change the class to anything. So you
Mm.
can sort of customize them. Um, but two things. One, you can't customize their name and their appearance, which is really annoying. But more importantly is two. I tried to hire one at one point when my party was full, and they wouldn't do it because I had a full party. And then I knew, oh, this sucks because what's going to happen is I can put someone back in the camp. I'll have a hireling in my party, and I suspect, I don't know for sure because I didn't do it, but I suspect that as soon as you dismiss them from your party, um, you probably have to rehire them because I don't
No.
think they're going to hang out in your party. Maybe you lose them. I don't really know how it works.
Mm.
And that like annoyed me. So
Mm.
I don't think they hang out in your camp, but I haven't actually figured that out. I don't know if that's true or not. I didn't use the service because I lost all interest when I found out that they had default names and I couldn't like change them. I don't even know what their names are. I didn't even look. I just read that online and I was like, oh, well, screw that. I can't make the character I wanted.
Well, I mean, like, I'm assuming the characters you can recruit are pretty interesting anyway. So,
Oh yeah,
uh,
they're really good.
in Divinity 2, all the people you could get that were like named characters were all interesting and all had their own little things they were trying to do. So I never felt like I like the idea of having my own party that I build myself, but at the
I wish
same
there was the
time,
option at least.
yeah, but at the same time, I was like, uh, the good thing about Divinity is like when they join you, you can actually pick what you want them to focus on.
True.
So I remember, yeah, they'd be like, "What do you want me to do?" I'm a fighter, but I can do whatever you want me to do. So you could kind of change them a little bit.
But anyone
Um,
who changed them, I feel like made a mistake.
yeah, I remember. Uh, well, the cool thing about Divinity, which I'm assuming Baldur's Gate has also, is as you play, you can kind of customize your play style depending on like what abilities you get. So I remember I kind of started out as a like an elemental sorcerer or something in Divinity, and then by the end I was more of like a conjurer. I was like conjuring a bunch of shit. So I guess
Oh, that was, that was so much fun in that game during the
I
Conjuring.
had like a big bone spider that would show up and start stabbing everybody.
Yeah.
So I assume, like D&D or anything, like as you get levels up, you can kind of customize your play style to however you can multi-class from what I've heard also. Um,
Uh yeah, apparently. I don't know how. Um I because when you click on level up, maybe I'm missing something. But when I click on level up, it's automatically, and I haven't looked for another option, but it just like automatically brings me to the screen where you see the character standing, and then this like thing pops up, and it like goes down and shows you each new ability you just got, and then you can make choices of like what you want to make for like a feat or a spell
yeah.
or whatever, and then you just accept and move on. I haven't seen an option for multi-classing, but now that I'm thinking about it, I think the first option on the left might just say your class, like paladin. And I haven't clicked that because I didn't want a multi-class. So maybe if you click on that, you can pick a different class and then go through like level one of that class. I don't know. I haven't done it. And you know what? The truth is, I've only multi-classed once in my life in a role-playing game. And that was way back when I was a kid and I was playing 3.5 and I hated it. I
Yeah.
was like, why would you multi-class? I'm level 6 and I feel like I'm level 3.
Yeah. I feel like multi-classing sounds cool in theory, but
It does, but
anytime,
you immediately lose out on like high level stuff for
yeah.
both classes.
I think maybe fifth edition balanced a lot of this stuff where when you pick a character, a fighter sounds pretty basic, right? But you get so many like cool things as a fighter now compared to like
Yeah,
previous editions, I guess. So
that's true. Fighter is
um
actually kind of fun in fifth edition, I think. And actually, you know what's really fun? The barbarian.
yeah, I'm thinking about Barbarian also for Baldur's Gate, because I just like barbarians in general.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. We'll see. Sometimes I load up the game and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that after all. I'm going to pick this. So it just depends on what
Whenever
I
I say I'm
feel
gonna
like.
do this for difference, like for something different, I never do it. Or I'll do it and then I'll play like half an hour and I'll be like, I can't do this. This is not right.
Yeah.
I've really I have a hard time doing different things. If I go to a fast food restaurant, I always get the chicken sandwich there. I'm like, today I'm gonna do something different. I get up there, look at the menu, and I always just order the same thing. And I'm like, damn it. And it's kind of the same way for games too.
Yeah.
Be like, you know, I wasn't ever going to actually play a Bard, but when I got in the game and started playing, I was like, oh, this sucks. I don't want to have this character on my team all the time. I switched and started playing a Bard, which is fun because I dual wield hand crossbows. That's actually really cool. That's the only reason I'm still enjoying it, I think, is the hand crossbows are fun. I'm not really a big like Bard fan normally, but I did it so that I just didn't want to feel like I had to have this person for lock picking, and then I have to have this person for healing, and then I have to have this I do all of that. The only
Yeah.
thing that my character is not great at is combat. Now, I do really well with two hand crossbows, do a decent amount of damage to single targets, but compared to like any of the companions, I feel pretty weak.
Yeah.
But that's fine because I can master. I'm like all about utility with that character, and then the three other people I bring are like better at combat, and I'm enjoying that a lot because there's nothing I hate more than failing a bunch of skill checks in the Larian Studios games. It's a nightmare if you do that. There's so many things you miss out on. You fail your perception check, and well, guess what? You're never accessing that secret.
Well, that might be another reason a lot of people choose Paladin due to having to have a high charisma. So
Right.
it's better to do like interactions with NPCs and stuff.
Yeah, that's why I picked a paladin in my playthrough. I was like, I want a good persuasion score.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and then they're also really good at combat, so that's why I went the paladin originally.
Well, I think that's all the questions I had for now. But yeah, nice talking about the game, and I'm looking forward to playing it next month, and hopefully the PS5 version won't be screwed up when they
Yeah.
release it.
What day does that come out?
September, early September, I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I thought it was September. Yeah, it's September 6th.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Oh, if you purchase the digital deluxe edition, you can play on September 3rd, apparently.
Ooh,
Yes, 3 days early.
I
But
don't care that
honestly, okay, I'll admit it. I'll admit it. The games where they're like, if you purchase this other edition for $10 extra, you can play 3 days early. I do it all the time. I am ashamed to admit it, but I'm impatient and I need to play them. However, I feel like if I was a PlayStation 5 player and I already had to wait a month extra,
Yeah.
nah, fuck it. I would pay the money. I'm not even gonna lie. I would definitely do it. um,
I know.
but yeah, it's really good. I hope you enjoy it. I know you'll enjoy it. You're a big D&D role player fan, and it feels exactly like you're a player in a game. It's great. There's so many skill checks, and every time there's a skill check, it pops up the D20 and it tells you your bonuses, and then you click roll and you see it roll and you're like, fuck.
Yeah,
And it's great.
there's this funny video I watched. This guy that makes videos, and it was like Baldur's Gate in real life or something. And he like wakes up in the morning and he rolls a D20 to get out of bed, and he rolls a one and then just falls out of bed or something.
Nice.
That's pretty funny. All right, well,
it's a really good game though.
I think that's all for today. anything you want to mention before we go?
I don't think so. If you like fantasy, buy my books, The Trials of Ashman and Buzzard's Bowl. Grimdark Fantasy on Amazon. Trials of Ashman is only 99 cents.
Yeah. And for me, I don't really have anything to promote really right now, other than, watch the other videos we made. There's a lot of them.
It's true. We
I
talked a
think
lot.
I think this is our 30th one now.
Really?
Yeah.
Look at us go.
Yeah. So thanks for listening. And if you have any opinions about Baldur's Gate or want to share your experience with it, please let us know if you watch this. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Goodbye.